Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. We have a great show for you. First, the sitting mayor of New York, Eric Adams, he's been indicted for corruption. Bryan Kohberger is heading to court today. What will he wear? That apparently is the big controversy. Sean Combs' attorney, well, he should just shut up. Karen Reed's attorneys have filed their brief regarding the double jeopardy issue before the highest court in Massachusetts. And do you remember Vicky White and her convict husband? She broke out of custody. Guess what? She's getting her 15 minutes of fame in a new movie. And we have contestants for possibly the worst parents in the world. Let me give you a preview. You want my kid? $1,000 and some beer. This day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
Hi, lawyer.
Good day, everybody. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. And make sure you hit that little bell for notifications. We have lots of people say, I'm not getting notified of your videos that you put up every day, Scott. Well, go back and hit that little bell. Make sure it's hit. And you can also check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps as well. All right, before we get to the docket, that's right, got to pay the bills. So go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. Sign up for that background subscription service today. You're going to be excited and happy that you did. Why? Because when you do it, you're going to log in, you're going to pay the nominal fee, and guess what? You can do as many searches as you desire, or maybe just one, and you can cancel at any time. But you are literally going to get a background report prepared and emailed to you as you wait. And you're going to get information about addresses that people have, possible relatives, neighbors, possible associates, jobs that they've held, education, possible usernames, social media that these people have. This is always interesting when people have other email addresses, particularly their spouses that their other spouse doesn't know about, possible photos, assets, criminal records, bankruptcy records, judgments and liens, and professional licenses and permits that these people hold. Ladies and gentlemen, if somebody new was coming into your life, isn't that all the information that you would want to know about them? Yes, it would. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up today. Now, this is a report from yesterday's Dumb Criminal. You can do it on anybody here in the United States. All right, let's go ahead and get to the docket today for Thursday, September 26, 2024. And I think the word of the day is corruption. That's right. Last night, a federal grand jury returned an indictment against the sitting New York City mayor, Eric Adams. Now, there's been a wide-ranging corruption investigation for the last several months, and it's included several top officials resigning in the recent weeks. Now, Adams has become now the first New York mayor to be charged criminally while sitting in office. Now, according to prosecutors, Eric Adams accepted an array of luxury gifts and amenities from foreign governments who hoped to buy influence from him. This included free trips, hotel suites, and airline upgrades valued at over $100,000. For example, he allegedly accepted free business class upgrades with companies for flights from New York to France, Turkey, Sri Lanka, and China back in July of 2017. That same month, he also allegedly enjoyed a hugely discounted stay at the Bentley Suites at the St. Regis Hotel in Istanbul, $3,500 per night. But guess what? The mayor only paid $300 per night. Now, another alleged incident came as one of Adams' staffers made a reservation for a flight to Turkey on the day of the 2021 New York City Democratic primary. According to prosecutors, when the airline suggested he stay at the Four Seasons, the staffer said that'd be a little too expensive, to which the airline responded, "Why does he care? He's not going to pay." The airline manager allegedly added that Adams' name will not be on anything either, to which the staffer responded, "Super." Now, Eric Adams held a press conference outside the Gracie Mansion shortly after the federal indictment against him was unsealed on Thursday, obviously professing his innocence, stating that he's done nothing wrong, that he works for the voters of New York City, and this is all because he went against the federal government's immigration policies. Yep, that's it. That's what he said. He also says that his day-to-day is not going to change, and that his lawyer will take care of the case. Now, it's also alleged that the mayor, not only did he take certain contributions in the form of upgrades and free gifts and travel, but the mayor also fraudulently obtained as much as $2,000 in public funds for each illegal contribution that was made. He was allegedly relying on the concealed nature of these illegal contributions from people outside of the country to go to a construction company to be paid, and then he would get matching funds from the state, for the city, I mean. And guess what? His campaign received $10 million in public funds, allegedly illegally. Like I said, he painted himself as a victim. He's being persecuted for being indicted on federal charges, saying that he's been singled out by the Biden administration for his stance on the migrant crisis. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of thoughts on this. I'm a firm believer that oftentimes politics is nothing but a large money laundering operation. That's really all it is. How do we get money from one person to another person, whether it's from the donor to the politician, or from the government to the donors of the politician? That's all it really is. What have we said before on this program many times? The goal of any politician is to loot the treasury and to enrich their friends. The people donating the money, they're paying that money not because they're just good guys and they're really interested. No, they're expecting something in return. Access, influence, favors, contracts. That's just the way it is. And I've also said this, and I think this should go for all people in government, public servants. They should be there to be a public servant. They should not get rich while they're in office, while Mayor Adams is wearing $6,000 suits on a public service salary. I don't know. Why does that not raise flags to anyone? It should. Politicians shouldn't receive trips unless they can pay for it themselves. They shouldn't get scholarships from various organizations that are nothing more than lobbyist-paid exotic, expensive hotel retreats so that the lobbyists can have one-on-one time with these people, all under the guise of it as some sort of learning expedition. So, yeah, if Mayor Adams, in my humble opinion, was taking upgrades, guess what? He should go to prison. You may think, well, it's an upgrade. No, he's a public servant. He's a public servant. He's there to serve the public. And the reason why public servants shouldn't stick around very long is because they were never going to get paid long enough to make it a career and then move along. Okay? That's just the way I think it should be. We need people that go do their job, don't make any money, and they have to go back to the community in which they live, which is kind of the way it was all set up. Not you're going to go get elected to office, then become a lobbyist and never go back to the community that you were supposedly there to represent. And don't get me wrong, both sides are guilty of it. And nobody, if they want to go to public service, you don't get to write books, you don't get to do speaking gigs unless it's $0 and you are volunteering your time and travel and you're paying at your own expense. Bottom line, don't think anybody in public service should get zilch. And let me give you an example of an experience that I had. Went to dinner once. It was a friend's birthday celebration. And one of the individuals that showed up was a sitting judge. And the bill came, and one of the people at the table said, I got the bill. And nobody would have said a word. Frankly, it didn't even cross my mind at the time. And the judge says, nope, I am paying for my meal individually. He said, I just don't want any appearance of impropriety. I don't want to ever be accused of anything. I want to be completely beyond reproach that he did everything by the book. And he paid his bill that night. Like I said, nobody would have thought about it. It was just a bunch of people getting together, and one person was going to pay the bill. But that's what a true public servant should do, be beyond reproach. But we don't have that on either party. Next, Bryan Kohberger. That's right. He is obviously accused of murdering 4 undergrads at the University of Idaho just a day before Thanksgiving back in 2022. Well, he is preparing for a new court appearance at 2 p.m. this afternoon, and they're going to try to figure out some scheduling issues. The judge is obviously going to introduce himself and hopefully lay down the law and the scheduling order that will be abided by both sides. Now, the defense has been pretty good by being prepared and moving this case along as it relates to their motions hearings. They're dragging their feet on everything else. I get it. It's a death penalty case. They want as much time as possible to maybe wear the prosecution down to where they say, fine, it's just not worth it. But if your client will plead guilty to all four and go to prison for the rest of his life, maybe we'll drop the death penalty. The defense then says we win. Okay? Obviously, the defense is saying we are going to trial to try and win this case, etc. Anyway, that's where we stand. But what is the really big news of the day? Obviously, other than Judge Stephen Hippler, the new judge there in Ada County, he's going to set some dates, let everybody know he is in charge. There is a hearing scheduled for November 7th as it relates to the death penalty issues. We'll see if that is really going to take place or not. But what is the true drama of the day? Suit or no suit? That's right. We brought you the story the other day that the defense has filed a new motion for Bryan Kohberger to wear his suit to court because the jail garb is, prejudicial. He's only made, I think, 1 or 2 court appearances back in Latah County in his jail suit. He wants to be in a dressed-out suit. The victim's family is disgusted by it. The sheriff says, hey, we'll do whatever the judge tells us to do. And the defense is saying it's prejudicial, puts negative connotations of him to the public in his jail suit mugshot. Therefore, we need the suit to make sure there's no prejudice. Now, I have told you that this doesn't happen in everyday cases. It does not. Jails don't have the time, the resources to make sure people get dressed out, to check out the clothing every time, etc. It just doesn't happen. But the judge may want to do it in this particular case. And don't get me wrong, I've seen death penalty cases where up until trial, the person is always in their little jail suit. I'm not sure why everybody's treating Bryan Kohberger as something special. He gets to fly on the state's private plane to shuttle him there, and then they bring in 3 black SUVs to pick him up at the jail like he's some sort of VIP. Well, quit treating him like he's something special. He is just Bryan Kohberger with 4 counts of attempted murder. I guarantee you I got clients with almost as many counts going on right now of murder, and they don't get to show up in their special suits. No. Let me know below. Do you think that he's going to get to wear a suit? Is it an issue or non-issue? Let me know. Next on the docket, Sean Combs' attorney should just shut up. Okay? So Sean, did he do it? Combs' lawyer says that Sean Combs wants to testify at his pending federal trial. Now, his attorney made these claims in an interview with TMZ in an upcoming documentary. Like, what? Why are you talking about your client's case in a documentary? I do not get it. Now, obviously, the indictment Combs was indicted in charges him with sex, trafficking, racketeering, and transportation of underage prostitution. And he's obviously being currently held in custody. So maybe he thinks this is the plan, that he needs to get out there and put out the word that he has pled not guilty, and he's going to fight this case to the very end. And at this point, he says, I don't know if I could keep old Sean, did he do it, Combs, off the stand. He's eager to tell his story. Now, obviously, there's no date for any trial as of yet, but why would you tell anybody that your client is going to testify unless it's a self-defense case? Unbelievable. I don't get it. I don't get it. You don't try your case in the press. It never works. It fails miserably. Hell, look at the Bryan Kohberger matters coming back to bite the prosecution in the butt because they wanted to get the good stuff out there, so to speak. And then it came back to be the basis of the motion for the change of venue. All these statements made by the prosecutor of how guilty this guy was and how overwhelming the evidence was. Let us have access to the records. Let's let the people that want to make commentary on about it. But attorneys, stop talking about your cases in the press. The press is not going to help you whatsoever. It's not. They're not. He needs to, Sean Combs' attorney just needs to close his mouth. All right? There's enough evidence there. Sean Combs isn't going to testify in his trial. Okay? If he does, he's going to be admitting to certain things. And, well, if I testify to this, I'll be admitting to this, and then I'll get convicted of this. But I really want to testify to this, but is it really worth it? He's not testifying, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just get that clear. All right? And when Sean Combs' attorneys says that when he wants to tell his story, it's a story of love. It's a story of hurt. It's a story of heartbreak. Really? Are we writing a novella book or something here? No, we're talking about a criminal case. Were these freak out parties against people's will? Was there illegal prostitution going on? Just be quiet. That's all I have about that. He can sit in custody there. Apparently he's in the same facility with the FTX founder, Sam Bankman-Fried. Next, Karen Read. Her attorneys have petitioned the highest court in Massachusetts seeking dismissal of the 2 charges, including murder, that she faces in the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend. Now, the brief that was filed Tuesday argues that trying her again on charges of second-degree murder and leaving the scene would be an unconstitutional double jeopardy. As you may recall, the judge last summer declared a mistrial after jurors couldn't reach an agreement on her case, and the defense attorney said that 5 jurors came forward after her mistrial saying they were deadlocked only on manslaughter count, and they had agreed without telling the judge that she wasn't guilty on the other counts. And I think the jury is just as much as fault, because they could have said we're deadlocked on 1 count, but we've reached an agreement on the other. Then the judge would have known to take it. And the judge never inquired, the defense never inquired, the prosecution never inquired. Double jeopardy didn't attach, in my humble opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Now we'll see who's going to be right. Maybe the Massachusetts Supreme Court took this up as cause celeb of Karen Read, and they're going to say, well, maybe everybody did it and it looks like it, but no, then they got to bring the jury back in. I don't know. The lawyers messed up, okay? The lawyers messed up. The judge messed up. Hell, even the jury messed up. It's one of those things, sometimes you got to just go do it. You get a bad call in the sport, you just go back and you replay the down. That's what you got to do. Anyway, like I said, we'll see where this is going to go. Now, the argument is, quote, where there was no verdict announced in open court, her retrial of the defendant does not violate the principles of double jeopardy, the judge stated in her ruling. But the attorneys for Reed says the decision in her brief, arguing it was wrong to suggest that double jeopardy challenge couldn't be successfully mounted, even if all 12 jurors attested to a decision to acquit. Surely that cannot be the law, Ms. Reed's attorneys argued. Indeed, it must not be the law. Well, but that is the law. And in this context of this highly publicized case, it's strange credulity to suggest that if the unequivocal statement of 5 jurors quoted above did not, in fact, represent the unanimous view of all 12, the remaining jurors would allow the inaccuracy to go uncorrected. He wrote, instead, they would predictably have notified the Commonwealth or the court of their own recollection. That's what the DA is saying. Anyway, so we will have to wait and see, obviously, what the court is going to rule on this particular case. Let me know in the comments what your predictions are. I get it. It's unfair, but guess what? Everybody messed up. So therefore, it's a do-over. Everybody starts back at the same position they were in before they messed it up. Next on the docket, do you remember Vicky White? Remember the deputy sheriff who broke out her lover/husband from jail and went on the run? Guess what? Her 15 minutes of fame, ladies and gentlemen, they're making a documentary about her. And the documentary is going to have some intimate phone calls between the correctional officer and her jailed lover, detailing the extent of their secret affair before she helped him escape and they went on the run. Now, Vicky White confessed she wished she'd been pretty enough to pursue a career as a stripper in one of the 1,000 calls that she exchanged with Casey White while he was an inmate at the Lauderdale County Jail. Now, apparently during these calls, it's going to get a little graphic here. You know, they talked about some sex toys, some explicit acts, lingerie that Vicky had bought in sex stores in calls which she knew were being recorded. But she also used a burner phone nobody at her work knew about as a workaround, meaning the number frequently leaked to Casey's inmate ID was never flagged or considered a high-risk situation by the sheriff's office. Now, obviously, this romance was forbidden, and they traced the relationship back to early November 2020, just months after Casey was transferred to the jail where Vicky had worked there for some 17 years. This documentary, it's going to be on Netflix, is going to be called Jailbreak. Love on the Run details the affair the two embarked on prior to her decision to help him escape from jail in April of 2022. The two of them then went on the run for 11 days before they were caught, and then Vicky shot herself in the head to avoid arrest. Old Casey says, hey, we were married by my laws, as he told the filmmakers. Now, just a little reminder, he was sentenced to life in prison for this, separate to the additional 75 years that he was already serving when he escaped from jail with his now former girlfriend. Now, like I said, Mr. Casey says, hey, we weren't married in faith laws. I was her husband and she was my wife. Now, Casey also describes that Vicky genuinely believed that they were never going to get caught. We thought that they had enough cash, they had a plan, they were going to buy themselves a little rinky-dink trailer and pay a year's rent up front and then just hunker down. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Sounds like true love. True love. Break your wannabe husband out of jail, where you worked as a sheriff for 17 years, for a guy that's serving 75 years to be together, only for her to take her own life in a shootout. You would think if he truly loved her, he would have done the exact same thing. But he wimped. He wimped. And now he's going to get to spend the rest of his life in jail, probably get some royalties off the video. Wow. Wow. Next, some Parents of the Year contestants. We haven't had a couple of these in a while. We could bring them to you every day, but this one just jumps out at you. So a young Arkansas couple tried to sell their 2-month-old baby boy for a 6-pack of beer and a little bit of money. Please meet Darren Urban and Shailene Ellers. They're both 20 and 21 respectively, and they are accused of 1 count each of endangering the welfare of a minor and attempting to accept consideration for relinquishment of a minor. That's called selling your kids. Now, the attempted adoption for some beer and cash apparently was open knowledge among the participants and several other people in the little trailer park, I guess. So back on September 21st, a person used the phone in the manager's office of the Beaver Lake Hideaway Campground in Rogers, Arkansas, to call the Benton County Sheriff's Office and report that the parents tried to give up the baby for a 6-pack of beer, but then said, we wanted $1,000 for the baby. That's according to the affidavit for probable cause for the arrest warrant. Now, Rogers is a growing community. It is about 200 miles northwest of Little Rock, Arkansas, just to give you some perspective there. Anyway, the alleged transaction apparently played out as followed. In fact, they even put it in writing. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I, Darren Urban, and Shailene Ellers are signing our rights over to Cody Nathaniel Martin of our baby boy for $1,000 on 9/21/2024. Disclaimer, after signing this, there will be no changing y'all two's minds and to never contact again. Apparently, there were multiple witnesses in attendance to this little business exchange, and they corroborate the alleged adoption process. Now, the deputies were also obtained cell phone video of Urban and Ellers signing the contract with the man who was going to buy their baby. The impetus of the attempted sale, that's right, beer, ladies and gentlemen. Ellers allegedly approached another couple's camper and asked them for beer, as they apparently regularly do, and when the couple declined, the mother left, but a man named Ricky Crawford offered beer in exchange for keeping the baby outright. Crawford, who investigators describe as exceedingly intoxicated during his interview, allegedly said he was concerned about the baby's welfare and wanted to get him out of Urban and Ellers' hands overnight, and they agreed, according to the affidavit. He asked if he could have the baby overnight and provided Urban and Ellers with several cans of beer in exchange, and Urban and Ellers agreed and gave the baby along with a diaper bag to Mr. Crawford. He then brought the baby to Martin at one of the other campers. He allegedly brought the baby to Martin at another camper at the campground, and then Ellers and Urban then came to the same camper and spoke to Martin and Crawford before signing the letter. Martin allegedly told law enforcement he was the person who drew up the contract. No money yet had actually changed hands, but he planned to bring the couple $1,000 check by no later than September 23rd. So based upon the totality of the investigation, Urban and Ellers created a substantial risk of death or serious physical injury by abandoning their minor child, initially with an obviously intoxicated male and ultimately with someone they did not know. Martin, for his part, said he spoke to the mother about the reason for the potential transaction, according to this whole thing. And Martin stated that the mom said, "It was not working having 3 dogs and a baby." The owner of the campground later caught wind of this transaction and called 911. The baby boy, who allegedly showed signs of neglect, was taken to the hospital. Now, both Urban and Ehlers were ordered to remain in jail until they paid the $50,000 bond. But guess what? Dad is already bonded out. Mom remains in custody. What can you say about that, ladies and gentlemen? I guess the defense would have to be, no, the kids were actually safer in the hands of the drunk guy than the people that were going to sell their kid for some beer, and $1,000. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Next on the docket, this day in legal history. On September 26, 1789, John Jay was commissioned as the first Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, following his confirmation by the United States Senate. Now, John Jay was born on December 12, 1745 in New York, and grew up in Rye, New York. He graduated from King's College, which is now Columbia University, in 1764. He read law in New York at a law firm and was admitted to the bar in 1768. Jay served as a delegate to both the First and Second Continental Congresses and was elected president of the Continental Congress in 1778. He also served in the New York State Militia, and in 1779, Jay was sent on a diplomatic mission to Spain in an effort to gain recognition and economic assistance for the United States. In 1783, he helped negotiate the Treaty of Paris, which marked the end of the Revolutionary War. Jay favored a stronger union and contributed 5 essays to the Federalist Papers in support of the new Constitution. President George Washington nominated Jay as the first Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court on September 24, 1789. The Senate confirmed the appointment on September 26th of the same year, and in April of 1794, Jay negotiated a treaty with Great Britain, which became known as the Jay Treaty. After serving as the Chief Justice for 5 years, he resigned from the Supreme Court and became the governor of New York. He declined a second appointment as Chief Justice in 1800, as President John Adams then nominated John Marshall for the position. Jay died May 17, 1829, at the age of 83. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Now, let's just get a couple things straight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Disneyland is not the happiest place on earth. Neither is Disney World. It's hell on earth. Disneyland, Disney World is expensive. There's long lines, annoying parents, and even more annoying small children who are hot, hungry, dehydrated, and spoiled. The only worse thing than all of that is some couple in their 40s that make their annual pilgrimage to be around all those children. It's just weird. Now, I have to admit, I know, I've taken my kids there. That's how I know it was hell. I'll have to admit, but one day, if I'm lucky enough to have grandchildren, we'll probably venture back to Disneyland and have the dinner with the princesses. Been there, done that. The prices that they charge for a one day for someone aged 3 to 9, which they are completely oblivious of actually being there, probably won't remember, $112 to $160, just a little bit less than the $119 to $169 for the guests aged 10 and up. All right, that is criminal, ladies and gentlemen. But I guess if somebody wants to pay it, they can decide how they want to spend their money. But this brings us to our story for our dumb criminal of the day. A woman was arrested at Disney in California after failing to show her ID to police at the theme park. Now, according to the Anaheim Police Department, the woman was taken into custody and cited for obstructing a peace officer and refusing to provide identification. Now, Disneyland officials state that the woman was allegedly trying to bring her children into the park without paying for tickets. Officials said the woman was uncooperative with Disneyland Resort security teams, and then the Anaheim Police Department had to show up and take it from there. Police also said the woman is suspected of doing this many times before. Now, Disney allows children under the age of 3 to visit Disneyland or Disneyland California Adventure for free if they're accompanying a guest with a valid park ticket and theme park reservation. Obviously, she's been charged with failing to provide that ID. It's a gateway crime. Now, obviously, if you want to go to the park, you got to pay, but it's a little expensive. I get it. But The kids want to go to Disneyland. I get it. It's hell on earth, ladies and gentlemen. It's hell on earth. All right, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, and don't forget to check out the Bryan Kohberger hearing it too. We'll see you then, and remember, the Constitution matters.